Everybody, hope you're having a wonderful day. Hope the weather's dry outside for you all. Here's a little video. I don't know if it's going to be little or long, but I'll try and make it as short as possible. So, in front of you there's a lid. Now this lid is usually on this box of electricals, which I'll talk through in a minute. Let's focus about the lid, because the lid's got its own little gadgets and gizmos too. So if I turn this around this way, you see a little disc. Now on this little disc is a voltmeter, DC voltmeter. And this switch will switch that on. Give it a few seconds. There's the battery voltage. And then I can turn it off again. If I turn this box lid over and turn it around maybe, it has all the fuses and what the fuses do and where things are laid out. And that's your 3 amp fuse to the 12 volt socket. Now, going back to earlier when you were wondering what this load of mess is, now it is a mess, and I am a bit thinking about changing it up and making it look a bit more tidier. But I think for now it's working. I'm not going to touch it. So down here you've got the 3 amp fuse. 3 amp fuses are usually purple, so that's for the voltmeter which I just showed you. This blue one is 15 amps, and they come in different colour blues, but they're usually 15 amp. This is usually blue, and that's for a 12 volt and 5 volt socket, which I'll show you in a few minutes. Now you've got a 5 amp fuse, which is usually orange, and that's for the horn, which I'll show you where that is and how that all works in stages. And down there is your 3 amp for your lights, which for my lights I should say. Yeah, I do get my words muddled up, as I am dyslexic, so give me a bit of leverage. So the horn switch is this one, and this is the live coming in, which is marked with the I for there, which is the input of the switch and the main live coming in. This S means switches, which is for your, which I should say I. The S is for my switches for the 12 volt socket, which I'll show you, and the lights. These switches are safety switches. They're not actual switches. They're safety switches. And then the O is is my output. So all my output leads go into the various things, go out this hole. And I'm a bit concerned there is actually a loose cable, which I don't know why there's a loose cable, but there is a loose cable in amongst my stuff. Oh, well, no concern about that. There's a loose cable somewhere, and it's not on the sockets, and it's not down on the fuse box. So maybe it's just a spare. No, my luck, it might be just a spare. I can't see any where I can see a missing socket connection anyway. Well, panic attack over. As far as I can see, there's nowhere it come off of. I'll only find out when I test everything anyway. So enough about that mystery cable. Going back to where I was, output. Oh yeah, output is these. Now these go to the lights, the horn, and whatever else is in that general direction, which I just think is lights and horn. Yeah, and socket. So you've got your lights, your horn, and your socket output there, marked O. Let me catch my breath a second. Right. In a previous video, I showed you all a little box which was marked, I say it was trailer box, which is what that is there. And the trailer box showed you a block separating the lives, which is like this. The main cable going in, loops back round, goes to its dedicated area on the fuse box, block, which is down here. No, down here, sorry. These go down to these. Each fuse has its own block. Knife comes in, loops around all of them, and goes out again. That's all my knives are in one place. This one is my pawn switch connection block. That's the live is black and white, green is negative, marked up there as well by the colours. In here is my switches, which are my safety switches for the lights and the socket, so nobody can burn themselves or blind themselves when they're around my vehicle. Down here is my negative block, full of all the negatives, and it all works pretty well. It all works. Fingers crossed anyway, it still works. I haven't tried it out for a while, which I'm going to try out today, but that'll be in another video. Anyway, so you're wondering what these cables are. Now, this cable here goes to this little black box. This little black box inside of it, which is waterproof, has a 12 volt socket and a 5 volt socket. That's why I put a 15 amp fuse in to the fuse box for this, is because it's 12 volts, usually takes 10 amp fuse, and 5 volts usually takes about a 5 amp fuse. So 15. I might switch this up to a 20 in the future if I think something needs to be done, but that's only if something goes pop, and I don't feel comfortable doing that just yet, because so far, touch wood, I haven't had a pop. Now, on my way down here to this little black box, you might all know by now, I use remote control receivers and remote controls. So in this little black box is my 12 volt receiver, which I have showed you in a previous video. And in this little black box is the receiver, and it's also the lights. So I can trigger the lights anywhere around my property when I'm not near the bike. If you want any questions answered, and you've got any questions about why it's set up in this black box and not in a big box like the other one, I will answer any questions when I come to doing another video. So leave a comment down below if you want to know how this system works and why it's in the little black box. And out of that black box to the backlights is a second switch, which means that if I'm going along the road or across the fields and I don't want the backlights on for any reason, I can press this switch and it cuts the backlights off, or it cuts the power off to the backlights, or it just puts it on. And if it's on, backlights will work automatically by this receiver. If it's off, like it is now, when the receiver's on, it's only the front lights that come on. You were wondering about those safety switches I talked about earlier. Just here are my safety switches. On, power should be going to down here, which is my socket, which you see by the indication of the blue light. If you watch that blue light carefully, it disappears. And it comes back, and it can disappear again. So I'm going to turn this one off and this one off, and that's now safety measures taken. This one is my lights, so if I switch this one on, we come around here, in a bit of an awkward, the power line is on, you can see there's no lights. Now, here is the remote control, and I push on, lights should be on. Yeah, they are, but it's very dark. Oh, there's no power going to the switch, that's why there's no... I forgot my key. But anyway, when the key's in ignition, power will go to the system and it will work better. But it usually works on the remote control. I might have to check the receiver on the remote controls, but I'll do them in another day. So yeah, that's to the lights, safety switch on, receiver then gets power, remote control usually triggers that and turns lights on. I will show you the brightness of these lights in another video when it is pitch black, because it's a lot easier to show you in the dark how much the lights can cover. And I'm not sure, and I have to look it up if I can remember to do so, that the lights are 1,000 volts, not 5,000 volts, 1,000 lumens. So that's that. So the lights are 1,000 lumens, and the LEDs front and back. So when out in the property, I can do my field work and other things. Now, on